Hello, everybody. It is good to see you. Today is April 24th. This month has flown by at a new world record, I have to tell you. I haven't had enough water to drink, so I wanted to make sure I got some. So, because if not, I'll get a headache. And then Miss Mary will say, Deb, I told you you had to drink more water. I love y'all when you care and you send me little notes like that. I really do, because it is nice. It is just nice. All right. Hopefully I have my camera set up. And hello, everybody. But I love this group. Let me tell you, it has been one of these weekends where I just feel so lucky to be a part of something like this. We had our Jitsi yesterday, and it was just wonderful. And so I put a new note on our group so that anybody that wants to participate in our little thing that we're doing, the ladies who I let know first, because I was trying to keep it a secret from Miss Jody. But yesterday, Cheryl's package came in. It was so sweet. I thought, I think it's time to tell Miss Jody just a little bit about this. This camera is still not right. Poor Mark went to 2 grocery stores this morning, so I didn't feel like, that's better. I didn't feel like I could bother him to say, my camera's acting up. But anyway, it's so good to see you. And yesterday we had a really sweet Jitsi. And y'all are just the best ladies. The comments you give when we reach out and say, hey, let's do something for, whether it's the COVID quilt that we made or whether it's a quilt to show Jody our love and our caring and thoughtfulness to her, y'all are amazing. So thank you so much. I'm hoping we're going to see a new member today named Lynn, and she just joined this morning. I sent her an invitation and boom, she was on there. Something looks different. Oh, I think I put too much eyebrow liner on my eyes. Sometimes I look into the camera and go, oh, bad makeup job there. So, but it's good to see you all. I was rushing around today because Mark, he went to Walmart. We normally don't go to Walmart. He hates that store. Anyway, and he bought over $400 worth of groceries. And he said, yeah, I stocked up, which is really wonderful. But it took me a while to help him put away all those groceries. So anyway, there's Debbie. And Debbie, you had mentioned to me that you and hubby were traveling and you're going to come through North Carolina. And yes, I would love to visit with you. So we, Marsha's phone doesn't understand the Jitsi. I'm sorry, sweetie. But yes, and we are 10, 15 minutes off of 40. So we're really easy to find. And I assume you're coming down Interstate 40. So I keep meaning to write you back an email. So I thought, I'll say it today because I know I won't forget then. But anyway, we'd love to meet with you. That would be wonderful. So now let's wonderful Jitsi yesterday. Thank you to everyone. And who is here now. All right. Marsha, first person here. She is just so sweet. And I love how you called it a quilting bee because that's how I feel it is. Charlene Lawson, how wonderful to see you. Mitty, wait till you see Mitty's new picture she submitted. She has another piece of work, and she is already developing her signature, and you will recognize it. All right. And that is wonderful. You have 2 Florida ladies. There's Miss Mary. Love my Miss Mary. And let me see. Oh, Kathy Klein. Miss Blue Ribbon winner. Was that amazing? That quilt was gorgeous last week. Thank you. So, yeah, please send me your photos because we love them. Our show and tell is probably the favorite part of our Sunday live stream. So I got some good ones, and but feel free. And if you want to send them to me, then just, whoops, let me click on it. Send them to me at ourtime2quilt@twc.com. Michelle the Quilter. Hi, sweetheart. We haven't seen you in a few weeks. It is so good to see you. Oh, Christine O'Brien is back. Hello, sweetie. And Christine, did I offer you to join our group or did you? I'm not sure. Charlene Piper is here. Oh, gosh, it's so good to see all of you. You're amazing. And Judy Smith is one of our more recent members. I don't know if I be so careful with hot glue guns. You know that, right? Well, I was working on that Easter quilt the other week when I put a big blob of hot glue on an Easter egg and then dropped the Easter egg onto my arm. And let me tell you, this is the first day without a bandage on it. When I went to peel off the hot glue, it took a couple layers of skin. So I had a big, nasty wound. Be careful when you work with hot glue. Pay attention. Don't drop the hot glue on you. It's just not good for your health. So anyway, I finally can show it to you because I didn't want to show it to you at first. It was pretty nasty. But, you know, of course, I'm sitting in my recliner using it. Y'all would probably be smarter and go to an actual table and, you know, get a nice, stable workplace. So, you know, yeah, that's me. But it is so good to see Michelle the Quilter back and Christine O'Brien from the UK. And the Queen is going to have her 96th birthday. She is so amazing. She is absolutely amazing. And, you know, my Mark was born in Canada. So he tells me quite often that's his queen. Even though now he's an American citizen, that's his queen. So we think the world of her. So anyway, all right, I've got lots of things to show you and to talk about this week. I finally downloaded my Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Elements because I haven't had it for a year, and that's why I haven't done videos, because I needed my program back. So I got it now, bought it, downloaded it. Thanks to CDW. If you are looking for computer parts or programs, go see them. And you're welcome, Miss Kathy. It was a gorgeous quilt, hon. And let me tell you, any of you who finished, and let me say this like Jody did yesterday, Edita Sitar, I love the way, she had a way of pronouncing it. It was so pretty. But anyway, if any of you who complete one of those quilts, my hat is off to you. They are amazing. And I'll show you a new project that I'm working on. I've got some tips today. And I've got a spring quilt behind the Curvy Quilt to show you. And all of my Indigo dyeing stuff. That's what I was going to tell you. I've downloaded the new workshop because I recovered my ironing board last week right after the show. I've got it on video, but I have to edit it. And the new program I got is like 3 years newer and things have changed, so I'm taking it slowly, but I am so excited about having that program back, because I'm going to do a nice introductory video on here, and then I'm going to start on my 5-minute how-to videos. And I'm going to do a bunch of them. How to do paper piecing, how to do 8 at a time half-square triangles, how to do, you name it, I'm going to do it. I've started a list of all the things I want to do. And that way, let's say you're sewing and you go, I'm a little confused about this. Do I add 7/8 of an inch or 1.25 inches? Whatever. You can go and just see a quick 5-minute tutorial, and they'll all be on the site. So I'm excited about that. I feel like it's about time. Not everyone has time to spend an hour or two with us. And for some people, they say they just like to put this on as background. It's something to listen to, like I do with The Last Homely House from Kate Jackson over in England. I'm still hooked on that woman. And she's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So I've got plenty still to go. But anyway, I'm going to be working on that. But I apologize that, like, I was hoping to do my indigo dyeing yesterday. I can't do it all. Not anymore. And I got going on this new Alex Anderson Neutral Quilt. And I'm trying to catch up because she has another show due out tomorrow. And I think I'll be caught up, so then I can pretend I'm a normal person and watch it with y'all and do the steps with y'all. So here is Kaz. Hi, sweetie. It is so... Oh, have you been a little bit under the weather? Oh, okay. But Kaz is back, and we did miss her. So let me see. You wrote the details down incorrectly? Oh, okay, sweetie. Yeah, Christine, we would love to see it. And if you want to join our groups IO, we all meet there. And, that's how we launch our Jitsi chats that we do every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. New York time. And you can pop in and out as you wish. But it's nice because we all sit and work on one of our projects and kind of chat. And you don't have to type. So it's easy. It's just like a Zoom. So autocorrect drives me nuts. But so anyway, but yeah, if you want to join our group, use that email, ourtimeToQuilt@twc.com, and I'll invite you. It was real sweet. Lynn is a woman who's been asking me for patterns, and I said, would you ever like to join our group? She said, sure. So I sent her an invitation, and it wasn't even 10 minutes later, boom, she accepted. So I got so excited. And that way you can share your photos anytime you want. You can share free patterns. You can ask questions from the knowledgeable people, other members of the site. And sometimes I find free patterns to put up there or interesting little things. So, and you know what? I forgot yesterday was the day for the Quilting for Ukraine fundraiser. And I don't know if anybody went, but I hope it was wonderful. And darn it, I really wanted, I am just right now kind of running around like a crazy woman. So I will try to calm down and catch up. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Well, I'm a very visual learner, and I kind of have to. So I feel like, can you tell that I was a substitute teacher for a number of years for grade school kids? So it just kind of comes natural, My daughter is a high school teacher, and that scares me to death. I thought she loves it and she's perfect for it. But the thought of kids that are taller than me and you're supposed to teach them. So I kind of like the little munchkins myself. But anyway, all right. So I have been working on, we'll start out talking about the Curvy Quilt. I had been working on this. Let me bring some books. Whoops. And I haven't put away my fabric. So I decorated it. This is my fabric stash from when I got my Jenny Beyer retirement closeout business order. And so I finally got in some new comic boards. You can look up mini comic boards on Amazon. Connecting Threads carries them, and they're a way for me to keep my fabric better organized. And I use baskets like these from the dollar store, and they end up the perfect width to stack like that. Makes it so easy to go look through my stash and find just the fabric I want. So these are like heavier than cardstock, maybe twice as thick as cardstock. They're archival, which is nice because people who collectors of comic books need safe archival materials to protect their delicate comic strips. So these, I don't know who the first quilter was, said, hey, we can wrap our fabric on those. And then after I've wrapped the fabric, I have a box of jumbo paper clips that I paper clip the fabric in place. And that is wonderful. And then I don't have to worry about them. The cardboard won't hurt the fabric at all. And so you buy them in packages of 100. And so I got my new pack, and I just sat here and ironed the fabric. And as I roll it on the comic board, since I do have limited space, I press almost every time I roll it, fold it over, I press it again, and it keeps it nice and neat. And so that's do you see that pile there? I think I counted 27 different little mini bolts of fabric. So let's just say I don't need any more fabric for quite a while. So, all right. So now talking about the Curvy Quilt. I'm having a blast with the Curvy Quilt. Oh, that's wonderful, hon. I love that. And that's what I hope. And I try to bring up new topics every week or every other week. But I thought, boy, having something you can just go tap right into, and it'll say half square triangles, or, it'll say it right away so you can jump in. But I wanted to thank Melanie. Melanie referred me to this book, and you can find it through used booksellers. Let me see what the date is on it. But boy, these books are exciting. Thursday night, I showed a lot of photos from them, and I am not sure, but this is probably a 20-year-old book. I'm looking for... Oh, here we look. Yes. This is now on 2001. So it is a 21-year-old book, but it's wonderful. I found it for $3 and something from Abe's Books. But you just go on, if you want a book like this, just go on Google and type in used strips and curves. They might still have them new in print, so check it out. But the author is, Louisa Smith. And I realize now, and Melanie's so smart, she right away realized that the quilt that I found that gave me the idea to do this outer space quilt was one of Louisa Smith's quilts. Isn't that beautiful? Now, in this book, she starts out by doing straight strip piecing, but then cuts those into curves. But eventually, she works into all kinds of wonderful designs and patterns. And look how the curves lead one to the other. So this is a fabulous book, and it gives me so many ideas for block placement, all of that. So I got such a deal on that. And then while I happened to be at the used bookseller online, I saw this one too. And this is Curves in Motion. And this is by Judy B. Dales. Curves in Motion. Now, I love that book. This one is going to take it a whole nother level. Look at this. But when you realize that once you know and are comfortable to sew a curve, you can use them anywhere. In landscapes, just anywhere. And so this wonderful book kind of gives you the courage to try some amazing new products. I was wondering where that, there was one on here where they used curves to, oh, look at this. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Do you have a sailing lover in your family? But once you are comfortable with cutting and sewing curves, which I have shown you is so easy to do, then the sky's the limit. And so those two books are going to get a lot of use from me because I am very taken. Even the block that I had, they were mismatched, so I turned them facing all directions. See, I did curvy lines for the strip sets as well as the curved sewing to make them a nice round shape. But I'm enjoying that and all of the different colors. And I have a strip over for any of you who might be new to the group. I'll show you a quick cutting of that. So, as I said, I recovered my sewing table, and so somebody wanted to know how to do that because it's a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. I show you every step by step how to do this. This is a dresser I got off of Craigslist and then put the plywood on top, and I just recovered it so I can show you that. And I did Mark loosened it for me and then screwed it back down, but I did all of the covering myself so I can show you that. All right. Now, when I was talking about trying to take better care of my ironing surface, because it just so happens this is right here, close and convenient to the camera. I have a cutting table right there, but this is so nice and convenient to the camera. So I tend to do everything right here, and it kind of gets my ironing board gunked up. So I remembered I bought this off of Amazon. It's a silicone sheet, and it's a nice big one. And when it goes, it stays in place, but then just lifts back up. So I'm going to keep this very handy so that when I do hot gluing, when I do painting, when I do all those things, I can have it handy and protect my ironing surface. But Miss Jody gave me some excellent advice yesterday. She said, take a piece of freezer paper. Okay, take a piece of freezer paper. Let me cut a little piece right now. And while we're talking about this, I watched Ricky Tim's March Quilters Weekend show. One of the tips he had was, is your design wall getting all cluttered with lint, dust, and threads, and now it's hard for things to stick? Use iron freezer paper onto your design wall, peel it off, and it'll take all of the threads and dust and dirt with it, and then you have a nice clean design wall again. But watch what Jody taught me. She put the shiny side, which is the waxy side, she put that side down, and then she ironed it in place. Look, my iron's not hot enough yet. Oh, here we go. She ironed it in place. Now, when you do that, then you can go ahead and do all the work on it you want. Because now it's ironed in place. It holds itself there. When you're done with whatever it is that might mess up your ironing surface, you just peel it off, and now your surface is still clean. And you can use this several times, and it will still stick. So how cool is that? Thank you, Miss Jody. All right. Is 400 too much for Bernina Virtuoso 150? I am not sure. In fact, I meant to have my machine. I am also selling my Elna 7200 quilters something. I forgot. But anyway, I am going to be selling that, and I'm the only owner. I bought it new, and I'm going to sell it somewhere between 350 and 500. But I will bring it down next week and show it to you. It's the machine. If you have watched me sew on this show, it's the machine I sewed everything with. And I just took it off of this desk here. The reason I'm selling it is because it doesn't have an auto lift. It has a knee pedal to lift your presser foot, but what I want is I got a machine that does it without thinking about it. So that's pretty cool. So when I'm doing thread painting, the moment I stop stitching, it pops up just enough for me to turn the fabric. But anyway, it's a good machine, and it was like $1,200 new. I paid $1,100 for it, and I hope to sell it for about $350 to $500, somewhere in there. But anybody, can you answer her question for Virtuoso 150? I know Berninas are amazing, but go and check that out. Also, I just wanted to say my Elna is the long throat. So if you're wanting to do domestic quilting, it is perfect. 1,500 stitches, has automatic thread cutter, the one where you just push the button or do your heel on the presser foot, pink, and I have everything with it. But that's enough for that. If y'all can answer her question for the Bernina Virtuoso, that'll be great. I'm hoping that y'all know. All right, so this week I've been so excited because this was a tough winter, and so I just needed something to get excited about. So I was watching Miss Alex Anderson, temptress that she is, talk about her neutral blooms, because I just love her shows. Neutral blooms. And I thought, I do not need to make a quilt, number one. Number two, I'm an art quilter. So why do I need to make another traditional quilt? Number three, every time I looked at it, I fell a little more in love. So guess what? I'm doing it. And if you go to thequiltshow.com, you can buy the pattern a download for only $7.99. I thought that was very reasonable because there's quite a few pages here. And I'm trying to remember, the quilt was made by Alex Anderson, quilting by Diane Swikert. And I'm trying to remember who did the pattern. She did a beautiful job with the pattern, and I don't see the name, but the pattern maker did a very good job. All right. So I thought, I don't want to buy any more fabric. I just bought the Jenny Buyer. But then I thought, I saw on it, it needs 3 1/4 of this one grunge fabric. And I thought, oh no, I don't keep that much unless it's just white, black, or cream. And so I didn't have grunge that size. Well, then I remembered a sweetheart member sent me a gift certificate to fatquarter.com. So I ran over there and found just what I needed. And she shouldn't be that generous in giving me gift certificates, but I'm awfully glad I had it. And so I went through my stash. I thought, I'm not going to have a lot of grays. You know, I love bright colors. I'm drawn to them. Most people are. And I went to my stash and I pulled out 42 pieces of fabric that were good candidates for the quilt. 42. So I think I have a healthy stash. And I'm going to be using it more and more. Hi, Alberta Powell from Alabama. Teresa Jugovich made it. Yay, Teresa Jugovich. So, anyway, I'm so excited about this quilt and loving it. And let me show you what I have made. Now, let me move this just out of the way. Right now, I've got so many irons in the fire that I can't keep up with everything. I taped off my ruler to 2.5 inches because I've been doing a lot of squaring up. But this is what I have, and this is not all of it. I have plenty more, but I've cut everything. Except the little petals, and I went ahead and made cardboard. Hi, Barbara Smith. I made cardboard templates so that I can trace around them. I'm going to cut them one at a time, but you know what I'm thinking now? I'm thinking taking my freezer paper, tracing it on freezer paper, and that way I can have a firmer edge because I like doing needle turn, but I'm wondering if putting it on freezer paper will give me a nice clean edge to work from. So I'm still considering. If you have any suggestions, let me see. I don't think I brought, oh, here we go. And I made a different petal shape. For the ones that are coming down the middle here, they only have the 4 petals, and I wanted to emphasize the droopy petal look. Let's see if you can see it. See the petals? I thought they'd be so cute if they were a little droopy. So I went ahead and designed a droopy petal. And there's the regular petal. Then it has 2 centers. One for the border flowers that are in the center looking straight at you, and then a cone flower shaped center for the sashing flowers. So, you ready for this? I figured out, because these, I want to use this shape petal for the left and the right of the sashing flowers. Then this is going to be for the other 2 remaining petals of the sashing flowers. And then for all of the border petals. And so I need 198 of these. I need 21 of these, 21 of this, 26 of that. So I wrote the information on the template. And this is good old-fashioned. This takes me back to my early quilting days of using cardboard for templates. And guess what I made yesterday? Yay! So it's upstairs, and it's really good. But anyway, so I'm trying to decide whether just to cut them out one after the other or to draw them on freezer paper, cut them out, iron them onto the back of the fabric, and then fold the fabric up around them. So if you have suggestions, I know that somebody out there probably has the perfect way to do it. I love suggestions. I love knowing how you would do things, because group minds are powerful, because when I get all of your input, we can create a better quilt. And isn't that what it should be about? So anyway, and you know, every quilt, no matter what, even if it's the most perfect pattern in the world, I have to change something and make it just my own. Yep, I do. So, all right. And that's why I always tell you, any of my free patterns that I'll send to you by email, make it your own. Feel free to do whatever you want with it. So it's a gift, and you know what? Once you give a gift, it's theirs to do with what they want. So, all right. Mitty. Oh, she's negative. Good, good, good. Am I having a birthday party? Not yet. It's still 2 weeks early. Just think of Mother's Day. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, God, this is too funny. This is too funny. Okay. How do you know when you're old? You go to pick up your statin drug from the pharmacy. The girl asks you, what is your date of birth? And you roll it right off your tongue. And she says, that's my birthday too. Just the month and the day, not the year. And I said, well, that is Harry Truman's birthday. Who is he? Oh my God, I am old. Or they're just not teaching these young kids things in school. But it was like, who is Harry Truman? I said, well, he's a really cool guy and plain speaking and for the people. Okay, so here we are. And I'm using, for this neutral quilt, oh gosh, yes, you say your birthday every time you go anywhere medically and everybody can hear it, you know? Oh, that's wonderful. Charlene's working on hers, right? Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so I added a little bit of color, and it's a turquoisey blue. And then I found colors that kind of reflect that bluish tint. So I'm very excited. Like, look at this one. Is that the cutest thing? And it kind of reflects that. But here are my half square triangles, some of which have been side. I did what Michelle Lang taught me. See, this looks a little odd. It's a little bit long this way. And what I did is where she said cut out squares, 2 7/8. Well, aren't you smart, Miss Marcia? You figured it out. I always hated it as a child when my birthday would fall on Mother's Day and I had to share that holiday. So anyway, but I did what Michelle Lang taught me, which is don't cut 2 7/8. That's so fussy. Hi, Laura. Oh, I know. It's hard figuring out what days are what. And, but she said, don't worry about fussing with 2 7/8. Cut them 3 and then size them down. So that's what I am doing. So now let me see. I have one of the sashing blocks done. And and I'm using a little bit. Brain is retired. Kaz, that's your birthday too? Oh, how exciting. How exciting. And so I am using a cup. These are my darkest ones. And then I'm using something as light as this one because I want it to be a little bit of a pop. But she's right. Using the pure white in these center blocks that will kind of lead your way down is very good. You have to have some pure white for pop. And I think these little dark pieces are going to do pretty good. So here is, everything is made. I just have a few of these. I think I mixed them up, so I'm going to have to go through them one at a time again. And then I love my fabric that I picked out for the flower stem in the sashing. And then in the border, I just think that's really sharp. So I think it's going to be a pretty good quilt. And here is my all my borders and sashing cut out. So I'm ready to go except for this. And with having to cut out 260 pieces, it's going to take me a little while. but I will do that upstairs, put on something really good on either YouTube or whatever. And then here is the fabric that out of my stash that I chose to go with the grunge. And I think it's going to be really pretty. And it's just slightly different. And that'll be good because it'll give just a small contrast. So, but anyway, I have been sewing so busily on this that I didn't have a chance to get all the research done for my indigo dyeing. But I have all of the stuff to show you what I need to do. So let me get all of this out of the way. You know, it looks like just a little stack of scraps. But guess what? That's a lot. That's hours and hours of work. That's kind of why I became an art quilter, because sometimes traditional quilting can be a lot of work. And to me, art quilting is playtime. So, all right. Now let me look. Okay. I talk to you about Jitsi every Saturday morning. Welcome, Lynn. I'll show you photos. Thank you to everyone who's contributing to our Jody project. It really means a lot. And she specifically asked me to thank everybody for all their caring. And she said she felt very lucky yesterday to have a support group of people all over the country and elsewhere. So that's wonderful. All right, so what I'm going to show you right now is all my indigo stuff. Then we'll do the show and tell pictures, and then I will show you again how I cut curves. And because I've had some people like Mary who said, I'm doing it. So that's exciting. And, you know, it's like one of these little things. You look at it and go, and then you're like, okay, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. So let me get another drink of water while I'm grabbing all of my indigo stuff, because that's been like a treasure hunt. Oh, don't let me forget. Let me write on here. I need to show you today's quilt. All right, write it down. Today's quilt. I type up an agenda so I don't forget things, because I get so excited to be here and see y'all. So there it is. All right. Now, let's see. Dan is the big 40. Oh, that is cool, Marcia. See, you must be a young one, because my oldest is 43. I remember being 43. All righty. So here is some of the stuff. All right. I showed the people Thursday night. I'll show y'all. This is the magic bucket. You can't even remember 40. I remember 40, and oh my gosh, you know, I was so critical of myself at every stage. Oh, if I just lost some weight, then it'd be just right. I'd love to have the body I did at 40. Let's be honest. Here are glue sticks. Glue sticks are for doing some shibori. And you'll take a smaller piece of fabric, maybe 16 by 16, put it on an angle, roll this up in it, smush it down, put rubber bands on it, shibori. So glue sticks. Rubber bands. We'll be using a lot of rubber bands for indigo dyeing. Gloves. Definitely, you're going to be working in an extremely alkaline environment. Think of concrete. It will dry your skin out to no end. So you must have a good, sturdy rubber glove. Here is the pre-reduced indigo. 8 ounces worth. the sodium hydrosulfite, which is really interesting. I have been watching YouTube how-to videos like crazy. This sodium hydrosulfite takes the oxygen out of the water. Okay? When indigo is oxygenated, it's blue. When it's not, it's yellowy green. Okay? I'll tell you more about that. So this is my little supply bucket. I also have to have soda ash, which is out in the garage. Now, because I'm using sodium hydrosulfite, I have to do this outside because that is, it's a chemical, and I'm going to wear a mask when I'm working with the powders, wear my gloves, all of that. Well, I was telling him on Thursday that the pre-reduced indigo was $22. The sodium hydrosulfite was only $10.39, but it was $10.99 to ship it. Then you've got the cost of the soda ash. Luckily, I already had it. Then I had to buy the bucket and the lid. Okay. And you notice I got a tall bucket because you really work. Some of the videos I watched, they weren't careful enough with how they handled the fabric in the water. The more oxygen you enter into the dye bath, the faster it's going to decompose. And when the water is blue, you can't use it to dye it because it's already developed with the oxygen. So I've got to be really careful don't pull out the dye fabric and scrunch it and have the water drop back in, because the water will take oxygen with it. So you have to be really careful trying to keep this an unoxygenated material to that. And that's why I got a 5-gallon bucket, because it's taller and less water surface. You don't want to get a big container like this that has so much water surface that oxygen can get pulled into it. Keep that lid on it. If you're careful, you can kind of do dyeing more than one day. Mary, you're so cute. Oh, yes, I'm going to film everything about the dyeing, and I have already watched at least 20 hours of how-to. And I've got more to go because I want to do it just right. But when you mix all your ingredients, the moment you put in the sodium hydrosulfite, and there are other things you can use like fructose and all of that, but this is going to be more easy and straightforward for me there. But the moment you put in the sodium hydrosulfite, you have to stir it extremely gently, because at that point it'll start removing sodium hydrosulfite will remove all the oxygen out of the water. Now, if you've ever seen RIT color remover, that's sodium hydrosulfite, but you'd have to buy a few packs of it. It was actually cheaper to buy in a bulk, 1 pound. So, and I will give you the amounts of the indigo, the amounts of the deoxygenator, the amount of the soda ash. I'll give you all the information you need. In fact, I'm going to make a handout to just make it a little easier to get the information, because I want to get it right. I really do. So I was looking, and then let me show you see that off-white fabric right there? That's $65 of fabric once you count the shipping. So what was going to be, I want to buy some $22 indigo, kind of added up. So I'm just letting you know. And so then I wanted to do some shibori, which is, you put it on the PVC pipe and you scrunch it. And depending on how you scrunch it and how tight you put ties or rubber bands or anything to keep the indigo has to physically touch it. So if it's really tightened down with a rubber band, the parts the indigo doesn't physically touch, it won't dye. It's a little different from the Procyon dyes that can soak into the fabric. And as long as they can get anywhere near the fabric, they dye it. And so anyway, I looked at the hardware store. I looked on the price of PVC pipe, about 3-inch PVC pipe, $18 to $25 for a piece of pipe. I said, and that was for 18 inches to 24 inches. I said, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. And then I said, wait a minute, people are bound to have scrap PVC pipe on job sites for houses. So I thought, well, I can try to look for new neighborhoods that are being built, or I could try to find a plumbing store. And I did. Advantage Heating and Air and Plumbing on Rinalda Road in Winston-Salem. And please tell them I recommended them. So I stopped by his store and I walked in and said, I'm going to ask you a silly question. Could I buy a piece of scrap PVC pipe? He went in the back and came out with this and would not let me pay. And I can tell this was a scrap. I mean, it's kind of all dirty and stuff and the inside, but it was just what I wanted. He would not let me pay for this. So I wanted to give a shout out to Advantage Heating and Air and Plumbing on Rinalda Road. So I'm so excited because that really helped. That's a longer piece than I was expecting. So now, here is even more stuff. But this is fun. It's like a scavenger hunt, okay? So, let me dump all this stuff out. All right. And I have a lot more to gather, okay? So I have started ironing my little scraps of leftover fabric from other dyeing things, and I ironed them real good. No starch. You don't put anything. I know, Kaz, wasn't that the sweetest? And do not starch this fabric. Don't put anything on it. And so, let me bring this down just a little. Okay. So I have all these little fabrics, and what I'm going to be doing with them is folding them like accordion folding, all of that. Then I've got different ties and wires to wire them together. I started looking through all my junk drawers and stuff, and these caps, you can take and put this cap behind the fabric and then put a rubber band, and you'll have a white ring where the rubber band was if you put the rubber band on nice and tight. So I got caps, I got string wire that I can wire it together with. Let me see what else. Just different things to tie it with, because this is like a hem tape, but if it's wider and you tie it, it'll have a wider white stripe on it. Okay. Make flutes out of PVC. That doesn't surprise me. And then I have these little eye rings, and that comes in handy when you can put it on the end of a rubber band. And it's a way, there's this wonderful woman, an Asian woman, who does such a beautiful job explaining it. Then I have a bunch of paper clips, because everywhere the paper clip touches the fabric, the flat places will leave white marks. So there is so much to learn, because the different ways you fold the fabric will determine what kind of pattern. I'm going to take and tie some of these large buttons on the fabric to make designs. So, and then all of these glass marbles. Let me see what you do with these. And I've got different sizes, different shapes to work with. And so what you do is you put one under the fabric like this, and you put a tight rubber band. And so depending on the size of the marble will depend on how big the circle is. And so you put a tight rubber band on that, and you do it all over that piece, and then you'll have a piece of fabric with beautiful white circles on the indigo cloth. So this is part of what I now need to do. And, you get all of your fabric, research how you're going to put the designs on your fabric, because I've got even more things to do than this. I'm going to get some very thick thread, quilting or thicker thread, and I'm going to do stitches on the fabric, because where the stitches are drawn in nice and tight, that will leave the white marks. And like this wire, wrap this tightly around the fabric. That way you can have whatever shape, and you could make a nice spiral design. So there are so many things. And one thing I'm going to try is I'm going to get out my soy wax and my jantings, and I'm going to try to see if I can do kind of a batik kind of designs. See if I put some wax, but you really need the bucket to stay warm. So I'm going to talk to Mark about our chicken heater and see if there's somehow I can use the chicken heater with my bucket of dye to keep it warm enough. Can't let it go over 120 degrees, but the warmer it is, the better the dye will stick, the more active it'll be in the water. So I'm going to work on that. But I want to learn. It's going to be like origami, trying to learn all the different fold techniques and the things you can put on it and the way you can wrap the tying around it, the putting it on the pipes and scrunching it. That's going to take time. The actual dipping, it takes about an hour once you mix the chemicals really well for it to do kind of bloom, which means it pulls all the oxygen out of the water. And what it'll do is the oxygen will come out with some of these molecules on the top of the indigo and make what they call the flower. And it's kind of just a lumpy, fuzzy stuff on the top of the indigo dye. And that'll be blue, but that's because it's got the oxygen in it. Then when you move that to the side, the water is this greeny yellow, really strange looking. And so then if I have all of my packs, the fabric needs to be soaked in water for at least a half an hour to make sure it's fully absorbed all the water. Then you take it and you squeeze out the excess and before you put it in the dye. And you're careful when you lower it in the dye not to make splashes or bubbles, because you don't want the oxygen in it. Once you put it in the water, it only has to stay in there 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Then you take it out and I will lay it in a bucket. Now, some people say rinse it right away. Some people say no, let's lay it in a bucket, let it oxygenate, then you'll rinse it. To how you get, normally with a jacquard dye, it's how thick the dye is and how long you let it sit in the dye bath. Well, that's not that way for the indigo. The indigo gloms onto the surface of the fabric. And that's why blue jeans, they kind of wear on the surface. Indigo doesn't become one with the threads of the fabric. It just kind of fits in between the threads of the fabric. And with wear and abrasion or whatever, it eventually will wear away and lighten. And that's part of why we love our blue jeans the way we do. But anyway, so you don't have to leave it in very long. And in fact, on this bucket, I will have some of the oxygen that's been trapped to pull out of the solution will fall to the bottom. So you really shouldn't let fabric and stuff fall on the bottom and get in all of that junk. And so then once you take it out, it's just a matter of waiting for it to oxygenate. And it can take a few minutes for it to fully, and you can like turn it a little bit. But I'm not going to unwrap any of it because I'm probably going to want to dye it 3 times. So you let it oxygenate, okay? Then you put it back in. Then you let it oxygenate again, and you put it back in. So, but even then, you only leave it in a minute. It only takes a few minutes to oxygenate. So the actual dyeing doesn't take long. And then I'll have to do I'll do rinsing outside in clear rinse water, and then I'll bring them in, put them through the washing machine. And so, but the time that it's going to take, because I want to have some really pretty designs, is in prepping the fabric. That's what's going to take a lot of time. So anyway, there we go. Oh, that might be really pretty. You might get some outline. The thing is, anywhere that is exposed to the dye, it's in the crevices of the rubber bands or the strings or the wires or just the fabric scrunched up itself. So I don't know. I would definitely try it though. It is such a beautiful blue, and I'm just really excited. I want to try one fabric where I can get an ombre. So I'll dip the whole piece in, then bring it out, let it oxygenate, then dip it back in 3/4 of the way, then dip it back in half of the way, then back in 1/4 of the way. I think that would be awesome. So I think it'll be kind of neat, and I'm really aiming for next Saturday. So hopefully by Sunday, I can show you all about it. I'll show you the video. So I'm excited. And like I say, the stuff I learned, I'm keeping in a notebook. I will make a handout sheet for you. And then I'll have the video and the handout sheet. Of course, it's all free. And I'm hoping if it goes well enough that maybe I might make some charm packs that, some of you might want to buy. Who knows? So, but I'm excited. That's why I have plenty of fabric, because I don't know how often I'm going to do it, but I want to make it the best I possibly can make it. All right, so that was that. So now let's go look at your photos, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the curve, how to cut a curve, how to sew a curve, and how easy it is. Oh, when I show you the pictures, I'll tell you. That's right. I forgot. I had some things to tell you about the process of making half square triangles. So let's go look at your photos. Oops. Okay, good. I don't have to turn off that light. So, okay, let's see. Turn this way. All right, now let's bring up your photos. Okay, I found this from Alexis and I wanted to bring it back. I was looking at the site for photos today, and I just think this is so wonderful. Why is this doing this? Okay, I think this is so wonderful, and I'm not sure how often I showed it, but I wanted to put it back on there because she does such sweet work, and I thought it would be nice. All right. I know she is busy with school, but we think of her. All right. Now, Betty. It was so nice. I got to see Betty in the Jitsi, and I can't wait for you to see this now. She has finished all of it. It is exquisite. So, Betty, if you watch this, make sure to send me the picture of how far you've gotten. Yesterday, you held it up during Jitsi, and it was beautiful. And then her snowy landscape. So very pretty. So very pretty. All right. Let's see who is next. Now we have Charlene. This is Charlene Lawson's. And we start here with her spring door. She loves to hang quilts on her door to decorate for seasons. And isn't this beautiful? Just a lovely, lovely spring door hanging. There it is, a little closer up. And I love the digitally printed flower fabric. It's like you're really looking at the flowers. And then look at her pup. That's her pup, Holly. And look at her beautiful Easter dress. Is that just the cutest thing? Ah, love that. Okay. And now it is Charlene Piper's time. Okay, and I wanted to keep these two quilts in the mix. This because it's done with the curved piecing. And actually, I think she did raw edge curves, but you could easily do this with the curves like that I'm doing during our art quilt nights. So it's just beautiful, and I just wanted to remind you of what you can do with curved fabric. And then here is her wonderful, wonderful. Now, I'm not sure if this is from the mystery that we did New Year's. I think this might be a different pattern, but she has done what we call the Delectable Mountains pattern. Love it. All right, so now let's go see. Okay, let me see what I want to show you for me. Alex Anderson Neutrals. Okay. And here was the fabric that I got with my gift certificate. Thank you to my benefactress. That was awfully kind. This is how I sewed my half square triangles. I know because of the camera angle, it looks like it's not even, but I measured 1/4 of an inch all the way. What I did is I had my presser foot up, had my needle down, used a ruler and measured 1/4 inch away, and then ran the blue tape all the way out. And did the same thing on this side. And then what I would do is pretend this is my two squares put together. I would line it up like this and run it down through the sewing under the sewing needle, and it would sew perfectly in the middle. Then I can either turn it and run it the edges again, or if I just wanted to run it down that side. And what it did, by running the edge, the diagonal edge up this, I didn't have to mark any of my squares. I just ran the points up this, and it made sure it sewed 1/4 of an inch from the middle, which is exactly what I wanted. And then when I was done, I just peeled those off. So I just wanted to tell you, this saves tons of time. So, but it's up to you. Some people like to draw the lines down the diagonal of the square. All right, now, Alex Anderson did a beautiful job of teaching you how to put 2 pins to sew the intersection, because I did strip sets. So these were already together. This was a strip set. Then when I cut them into segments, I sewed them together. This is a perfect intersection. That's absolutely perfect. Now, I didn't think about the double pinning it, but then since I ironed all the fabric to the dark, when you put them together, because the darks were in opposite corners, it automatically meant that this seam went this way and that seam went that way. So, you've seen Eleanor Burns first showed me this, I saw it on her show. And what you do is you bump up those seams together and it nestles right in. Now, so I didn't pin any of these. And please feel free to follow the instructions, because they know But this is what I had a few of them come out like. That is one thread width from being perfect. Do you see it right there? One thread width from being perfect. So, is that off enough that that's going to worry me? Heck no. If you got your nose up that close to my quilt, I'm liable to bop you. So, but out of all of those 4 patches, only these were off perfection at all. Only these. And out of these, only one was more than 1 thread width off. So when I look at this, to me, because of who I am and I'm impatient, that to me was worth not pinning, because only one needed to be redone. The rest were 1 thread width off, and I didn't care. So it's just something to tell you, and just you make your own decision. And I know that this is not going to be entered in a show. You know, I always think I want to enter in a show, and here is the quick start fabric kit they cut out for people that you can purchase, and it's lovely. But I am enjoying that. So now let me see. I don't think I really had much else. Let me see. I think pretty much. Nope, I've shown you all of these. Okay, so let's move on to the next person. That would be Miss Dolores. I got to meet Dolores yesterday, and she's lovely, very attractive woman, and got to meet her husband, who set her up downstairs because she broke her knee in December and had to have no weight bearing on that leg after her surgery for 12 weeks. So here we've shown you this Rapunzel. And this, I mean, just lovely. I want to see some more updated photos, but we got to meet her. And it was very impressive when we saw her walking around, and then she came and sat down on the steps. I thought, oh my goodness, she's doing beautifully. All right. So, you know, I've shown you Miss Jeannie did this wonderful quilt. Let me get it popped up. And I just think this is so beautiful. And fussy cutting the flowers and sewing them together. Well, don't tell Jody, but this is going to be her block for Jody's quilt. And look at the ribbon weaving, and I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And she's sewing all the flowers on by hand. I just thought that was incredible. So that is wonderful. Thank you, Miss Jeannie. Then let's see. Jody has been busy working on this. This is the Quilt Show's block of the month for this year. And it's beautiful. And then she sent me this one, which has all of this down here new. So isn't that wonderful? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then, oh my gosh, she showed a neutral quilt she's making out of shirtings, and it was lovely. Here we go, Kathy Klein, something I'll probably never, ever have, a blue ribbon on a quilt. And this is Adita Sitar's beautiful quilt pattern, and look at that. She has done a magnificent job on it. Way to go, hon. Isn't that great? I love it. Oh, I'd be so excited. Y'all wouldn't be able to stand me, let me tell you. Okay, Miss Mary. All right. We have some cool things here. That's her small quilt. Then look at she has some beautiful spring garden pictures. They went to a botanical garden. Isn't that beautiful? Look at these tulips. Fantastic. Look at that. I think that's called a parrot tulip. Beautiful. Look at these pictures. Isn't that amazing? And I see that somebody asked a question. I will make sure to come find it too. So, okay. All right. Okay. But I'm sorry, I had a message on my phone. Mark went out. He repaired his motorcycle and he went out, and I wanted to make sure he didn't get stuck somewhere. Look at her wonderful crazy quilt egg. Wonderful. I love it. And then look, talk about gilding the lily. She made matching fabric flowers to go on it. Isn't that the most wonderful? And I love the way she quilted the designs, which it gives it movement. Look at her wonderful flowers with the beading on the stamens. That's amazing. And I have that fabric somewhere. I have that. Isn't it fun to see fabric that you also bought? Look at her wonderful Easter egg wreath. Isn't that fantastic? I love the way she did the bows. So I love seeing what you create. It's so amazing. Thank you, Miss Mary. And Miss Melanie, I finally went and downloaded hers. So I'm so excited to show you. Okay, here is a St. Patty's Day quilt from Miss Melanie. And this wonderful, it says, wherever you go, whatever you do, may the luck of the Irish be there with you. I love that. Look at that beautiful spring butterfly quilt. This is a gorgeous bedspread. And this is made from the Curves by Louisa Smith. This is in that style of making the strip sets and then cutting them into that shape that you're used to from Drunkard's Path. Wonderful. Then she got her iris quilt back from the quilter. That is beautiful. And she did this quilt as part of a group project. You know how you belong to a group and you'll do a row round or block exchange? That is gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? I love that kite. Look at the bunny. How cute. And then look at these little animals she makes. I wonder if they're like, do they store things in them, or are they just something sweet to give, to hold tight and hug? Then look at this table runner she did. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Another view of that gorgeous bedspread. But I love all of these pieced blocks. Look at that. Very nice. And then look, isn't that bright and cheerful? Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Miss Melanie. She is a prolific quilter. Miss Michelle. Okay, I'm going to show you the bad news is the gardener they hired cut down all her precious plants. And hopefully they will start coming back. I hope. But the good news is, while we were talking on Jitsi yesterday, look at what she was putting the finishing touches. She was doing her binding by hand while we were talking. And I wrote to her this morning and said, could you please send me a picture of that magnificent quilt? And I think she said this was an Alex Anderson show pattern. So is that just beautiful? I told her I think this is definitely an heirloom. And the colors, oh my gosh, it's amazing. That is beautiful. Way to go. So thank you, Miss Michelle, for sending that. And let us know when those plants start growing back. I really hope they will. Now, this will be fun. Miss Mitty. Now, you remember Miss Mitty because of her wonderful whale pillow quilt. Oh, gosh, I love this thing. And remember, I had the hardest time removing it, even though I can't keep all these pictures forever, but I didn't want to remove it because it's so sweet and so happy. Well, she sent another one, and I want you to see if you can recognize her signature. Look at that. Doesn't that remind you of the whale quilt in the style, colors, and fabrics? I said, she's developing her brand, her signature, and that's lovely. So thank you, Miss Mitty. It made me smile just like the whale did. Then here's a picture of a curved pillow she made. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. And then, are you ready for this? She's doing a cross stitch. Now, cross stitchers to me are a whole different kind of human being. They are a human being who can work in very tiny spaces for a long period of time. So I don't have that gene in my body that allows me to do something so beautiful. Watch. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Is this amazing? And then here is a close-up. Look at those tiny, tiny stitches. So, Miss Mitty, our hat is off to you, sweetie. That is amazing. Way to go. Thank you for sharing those others with us. And Miss Nadine, we just always want to think of the Ukraine because that's something near and dear to her heart. And here is Miss Nadine on her beautiful big red horse Fred. Beautiful. So thank you, Nadine. We're thinking of you, sweetie. It's hard to be in Europe now with that war so close. Miss Polly's quilt, I think she said, I saw it was a Sheila Knightley. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Design. Beautiful. Beautiful. Great job with all of that applique. Okay, and then her Storm at Sea. I love it. Such movement with the fabrics chosen and the pattern. Okay. Now, let's see. I think that's it. Yep, that is it. So, wonderful job. If you would like to see photos of your work, of your family, whatever, if you'd like to see them here during our show and tell, please send them to me at ourtimetoquilt@twc.com. That was wonderful. I love seeing all of that. Let me come back to you now. I know. Isn't that amazing? The Last Supper. I mean, oh my gosh. That is devoted. Let me tell you. Hi, Angel Stoffer. Hi. Oh, yeah. Don't you love Mary's wreath? Oh, it is so good to see all of you. Was there another? Is it like tie-dyed? Yes, the indigo, when you scrunch it to make a pattern, it does act like tie-dye. It's mainly, though, for a resisting the ability for the indigo dye to make it into the fabric. And that's what gives you the wonderful blue and white and combinations there of designs on the fabric. All right, let's see. Oh, Laura, that's so sweet. Oh, what a dear. Her daughter used to dress up the guinea pig and read Dr. Seuss to him. Oh, that's lovely. Just lovely. Oh, all right. Any other question? It is good to see Angel here. Is there anybody else that came in that I might have missed? I love you all coming here. It's so wonderful. So now, let me see. Today's quilt. Let's do today's quilt, and then we'll do the curve piecing. All right. So today's quilt. Let me get all my stuff out of the way. I've got a mess. Oh, and I think I told you, I saved money on the prepared for dyeing fabric. I got it from Missouri Star Quilt, and they had it in the 108-inch backing group. So just be creative when you look to be able, because like I said, it's well over $100 now to do this, but be creative in how you look for your fabric. And when I got it, they said any 5 yards of fabric was like 25% off. Hello. So I got 3 yards of the 108 and 2 yards of the regular width. But anyway, that saved money because I ended up getting it instead of $7.25 to $7.99. I got it for just over $6 a yard. And you know what? Every little bit counts. When Mark got home from the grocery store and I saw what some of those things cost, now I'm like, oh my God. And you know how I told you that my chickens are elderly? Well, I read the other day that the price of eggs has gone up because of the bird flu. They've had to destroy some flocks, and my little chickens, I'm going to treat them real good because they give me plenty of eggs. So anyway, this is my spring quilt. I would like to say I remember what the pattern is called, but I don't. And I made this back when I was teaching classes locally. So, and that's how I know, I got it all quilted and finished quickly so I would have it for the class. But it looks like I haven't finished putting the binding on. So this will go upstairs with me today and I'm going to finish this. This is how I have so many UFOs. But I think this is lovely. I love the fabric. I probably made this 4 years ago, if you remember the fabrics from back then. And I just love it. So that is today's spring quilt. Very simple. It's almost like a log cabin, but depending on how you turn them and how they face, it's just a sweet, sweet quilt. And the back, I can't. Oh my gosh. So this was wide backing. It's one of the colors I've used in the neutral because it has some tan and gray. So it acts as a bridge fabric. But let me see if I can show you. I'm very proud of this quilting, honestly. And I'm like, wow, I did that. And it's great, big, happy flowers. And I think it's just sweet as it can be. So, wow, I did good. I need to do some more quilting. Isn't that funny when you take something out and go, wow, I did that? Oh, crazy me. All righty, so let's come over here. And if you have any questions or any comments or anything you want to remind me, please, please do. So now I'm going to bring you down to this. But I love that spring quilt so much. I'm going to finish the binding and then I'm going to hang it up down here because the colors are charming. All right, here we go. Here are the templates. I don't know where the other one is, probably in the holding container, but let me make sure my iron is still warm. And here we go. Because this, you wouldn't even have to have a pattern to do this curve piecing because it makes its own pattern. So I just grabbed a few pieces of fabric out of the fabric bin. Okay. I tried to look for what could I grab. Oh, here are the little pieces. You have a convex curve, and then you have the concave, and you put those together. Oh, it is fun to look at it and go, wow, I did pretty good. Okay, so curves are easy peasy. And just so you know, I read that the hottest thing for this quilting year is curve piecing. And at first I started out and I was very careful and a little nervous about the process. Now, oh my goodness, me and these curves, we got it made now. I don't draw anything. Okay, let me see. Do I want to turn the light on here or not? Let me see. All right. So I have my cutting board right here, my cutting mat. Let me lower this down a little bit more. Okay. So I take this piece and the thing to remember is try to have the beginning and end relatively straight. This one's a little curvy, but it just makes it. Rob Appel taught me that. I watched his video, but so I try to start. Oh, another thing real quick. These are the Martelli. I love these rotary cutters because they're so ergonomic. I have a bad back and it really helps me to be able to sit and cut, and especially if you have carpal tunnel or sore wrist. But we found that one of them started acting funny, and Mark took it apart and found that this screw, the blade had over the time had worn a ridge into the screw. So he went to the Martelli site and ordered 2 new screws that come with the 2 new springs right in there. See that spring right there? And 2 new screws, and had them shipped here for $8. So these are virtually, with that new screw, these are virtually indestructible. So thank you to the Martelli company. All right, so I just come in here and kind of, whoops, I'm going along too much with what the other curve is doing. So let me, now, one thing I didn't do is put my other fabric under that, but that's no problem. I'll show you what to do next. So here is the curve. And if you notice, I'm getting a little more carefree about how deep I make my curves, because boy, does the more I sew these, the more I do this, the more bold I get, because it's so easy. Now, what I want to make sure of is I put this fabric right side up. This is right side up. I have my curve here. And I look and I want to make sure that the fabric goes just under the farthest most points there. Okay, and it does. So now what I'm going to do freehand is just come here and cut again right along that first curve. Oops, let me see. And I kind of hold the fabric behind the blade so that it won't bunch as much. And then I just carefully follow the curve. Now, you might say, well, what if you cut the top curve? Well, I'll cut it the same time as I'm cutting the bottom curve, so then they'll still match. Okay, so here we go. Now, you have to take out this piece, and this piece becomes confetti. Or I'm sure some of you crumb piecers could make something of that. And here we go. Look at this. And see how it lines up? Easy peasy. I have the pattern for the templates here, and I have an instruction sheet. So if you send an email to ourtimetoquilt at, whoops, no, let me see, at twc.com, I will send it an email right back to you with these. So now what I'm going to do here is just make a cut across here to know where the end is. But I'm not going to cut all the way across this, because I try to save as much of the fabric as I can. So now we got that done. Let me move my ironing pad over my cutting mat so I don't melt my cutting mat. And I'll have my iron right here. I am going to bring you over here and show you just how easy this curve piecing is to do. Okay. Here, let me turn on my machine. All right. Here we go. I line up the ends. Let me make sure I've got plenty of light here. Let me bring the lamp over. So I want you to be able to see. Good. All right, here we go. All right, so I have the ends, and it's not perfect, but it's good enough. I have the ends here, and I come and I'm going to turn my stitch down to 2.0. And why? Just because I feel like it's a good thing to do. Okay, so I put these together, and I'm going to go straight for the first few stitches. Now, what I do, I've seen people who want to pin curves. To me, that makes it worse. It's harder to work at if you pin. What you do is this hand controls the sideways movement of the bottom fabric. This hand controls the sideways movement of the top fabric. And what you do, let me see if I can get y'all a little bit closer. Like right here, when this, you see they're kind of going the same way. And I try to line up with my 1/4 inch mark where it is on the machine. And then I just move these back and forth to make sure that the edges are going to be even. And so I'll start moving, see how I'll move this over this way. So that then by the time I get, see it right now, you would think that's not going to match. Don't worry. Okay. Let me see. Can you? Yeah, you can see good. All right. So what I need to do is I have to be gentle. What you're doing is you're letting the bias in the fabric relax the fabric. Okay, Mary, take good care, sweetheart. So I just kind of pull this way, making sure you're keeping the seam allowance even. That's the tricky part here, is you're doing a couple things at once. So take it slowly. Now I'll bring this back this way so it's still matching that fabric. And you notice no pins, no, and every once in a while, if you get what looks like it's going to be a pucker, just kind of give it a little tug like that, and it'll avoid the pucker. But just keep your seam allowance, keep your eye for that, and then keep the edges together. And some parts of it will go real easy. Some parts you just have to slow down a little bit and let the fabric kind of ease into, like right here. I can tell now I'm going to have to move this over, but I have to move it over very slowly. Okay, sweeties? So here you go. Just gently moving it over, doing it slowly enough to let the fabric relax and go right into place. Now right here, I don't want to have a pucker. So I'm just going to lift the presser foot, push that fabric underneath. Now I won't have a pucker. So it's just kind of getting up close and personal with your fabric. And you get a feel for how to feed it through so that it will meet well and not cause a problem. And I would never have thought this was possible before. Never have thought. I remember working for the museum making outfits, and someone came to me and said, how do I make a curved bottom for this bag to put the fringe on? And I couldn't figure it out to save me. And now I look at this and it's like, that's part of that. With age comes some amount of wisdom, you hope. But see how this is the curve down, this is the curve up, and they will match. Just kind of watch. And I gently just push this over, keeping it on the seam, right width of the seam allowance. Just keep pushing it over. And it looks like it's way past, but you have to do that to get those edges to meet. So once you see the edges are meeting, then you back off and start working to bring it back. And there, if you get what looks like a little pucker, just pull from under there. The pucker's gone. So just take it slowly. That looks like it's going to be another pucker. Just give it a little tug that way, and it's gone. So see how easy this is? I never, ever would have thought it could be this easy to do this. Now it looks here are the ends. It looks like, well, that's not going to meet. You watch. You will be surprised. Okay, so you just keep gently, little by little doing this. I don't use any pins. I think pins just make it that much harder. You're not allowing the fabric to find its own way to do this. But that's where make biases work for you, because in curve piecing, they are your friend for sure. Okay, so I kind of look like I'm over putting it there, but now that I'm at the peak of that, I can now pull back. If it looks like you're going to get a pucker, just pull it like that. Pucker gone. Then move it back a little like this. Match them back up. And this, I'm having to pull it away a little bit to make sure they're matching at the edge. So depending on what side of that curve, you do something a wee bit different. Now, you remember how far off it was just a moment ago? And here I'm going to have I was going to have another little pucker, so I just lifted my presser foot, pushed it over. But now look at where we're finishing. Isn't that cool? Because I didn't want it to go to the selvage anyway. So, okay. So now we did all this sewing. Okay? Now, the test is, hold on. Okay, the test is how easily can I get it to iron? Isn't that cool? Okay, here we go. So now what I like to do first, when you're doing the curved piecing, okay, iron the seams away from each other. I don't think I had ironed this other one, the other curve, or at least not well. But iron the seams away from each other. Whoops, sorry. Because if you don't iron the seams away from each other, at places where they're too close together, it'll make a big lump. So since this one's coming this way, then the next one has to go that way. To iron it away. So what I'm doing is I'm just encouraging it to start going the direction I want it to, and then we'll turn it over to the right side and finish the pressing. Okay? So I'm just now giving it the encouragement. You can do it with your fingers. You can do it with a wooden iron. Okay. Now, look at this. Isn't this, whoops, no, I'll keep it this way. Okay. Isn't this, now watch what I do. Instead of using the side, I'll use the point and get into the curves like this. And you're just encouraging that fabric to reorient itself to make a nice, smooth edge. Okay. Now let me finish down to this end. But would you have ever thought it would be this easy? I know it it shocked me when I started doing this and realized, you mean it was this easy all along? I could have been doing stuff like this that easily? Look at this. Isn't that awesome? So, now let me bring the camera back and I'll hold it up for you to see. But now you can see why I love, love, love making curved strata, curved blocks, curved quilts. But look at that. Can you imagine making an ocean quilt? And look at that. That is so cool. It leaves so many possibilities. Doing a mountain range. And it won't take, you could make so many landscape quilts so easily by doing this. And you don't have to applique them. Now you know how easy it is to cut them and to sew. Pardon me. We've got a lot of pollen blowing around out there. Okay. So my next cut, I will cut this side. And if I want this time, I can take the next fabric, lay it right side up, put this on top, then making sure that this edge goes under it enough for the deepest cuts. And then I just come along and cut it and sew it, and there you go. It is that easy. So, and I will have, when I make my new, and see how I am so, I wouldn't do a lot of ironing on the cutting board, but when you use this, it really does protect the surface below. And let me turn off my iron now. All right, so I love it. And these woolly mats are great for making things lie nice and flat. Woolly mats make you look like a better sewer than you really are. So now you see why I'm not done with that curved quilt, because I want to make more and more and more blocks. I'm going to turn that around one more time. Okay. And I can't wait to see where this curved quilt is going to take me. So it is a lot of fun, and I want to try to figure out how I can space them apart a little bit, making rectangle squares. You know, that's not that hard. You just have to make sure everything will end up fitting. But you see how easy it is to make the striations that then you can cut. But like I say, I have the pattern free, and just send me an email and I'll send it right out to you. And I think you'll like it. And so far as the background, you decide what you want. I'm going to get some lames and do smaller planets. I think it'll be fun. The planet I've already got has a little shimmer to it, but then I'm going to take and do either some ink tints or jacquard fabric painting on it and do kind of like a swirly kind of amorphous kind of thing across it, and some thread painting. And I think that's going to really, really make it just jump out at you. So I haven't figured, I was supposed to have it done by now, but I don't want to just do same block, same block, same block, same block. I want to really shake it up. So, all right. Any questions before I go? I think we're about done. I hope to have a new project to start with you next week. Oh, no, now it's too dark. I hope to have a new project to start with you next week. And I've just got to figure out what it is. I haven't figured it out yet, but I've been a little busy. So anyway, anything else? Any questions? I thank you for joining me. Thank you for being willing to spend this time with me. And I just love it. And I am more creative and happy because you're here. So thank you so much. Have a good week ahead. I'll be back Thursday night. And don't forget our Jitsies on Saturday. And then I'll be back next Sunday. But take good care of yourself. Do something just for you. Don't forget to feed your soul. You can't take care of other people unless you first take care of yourself. Thank you. I do love this group too, aren't we? It's such a community, and you just bring such joy. Christine, you are lovely. Thank you for coming. Let me know if you want to join our groups. IO. Y'all are the best. Take good care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, guys.